While I was at City General Hospital with my critically ill mother, my husband's close female friend sent me a video. Inside loft, Chloe had both of her legs draped over my husband, Marcus. The man who was usually so aloof and dignified was now holding her in public. Chloe feigned struggle, but her smile at the camera was provocative. Grace, Marcus, and the others are crazy. They insist on playing naughty roulette. Come rein him in. But the group showed no signs of stopping. I glanced around and saw the glasses were already empty, which made my stomach churn. Marcus's close female friend was the darling of their social circle and always lacked a sense of boundaries, but I never imagined they would do something so outrageous. Naughty roulette, they weren't even disgusted by it. I took a taxi directly to the bar. There, I saw Chloe and Marcus locked in a passionate kiss, separated only by a thin piece of underwear. Marcus carelessly hooked the underwear with his fingertip, raising an eyebrow at me. Don't worry about it, it's just a game between friends. After clearly seeing what it was, I had only one thought at that moment. I wanted a divorce. Kissing your friend through a piece of underwear. Marcus, do you even want to stay married anymore? I felt utterly disgusted seeing the red underwear hooked by his long, slender finger. They had actually been kissing through that underwear just now. This was truly unacceptable to me. It was sickening. Marcus frowned at me, looking displeased. What are you making a fuss about? We didn't actually kiss. Even if we had, I don't have any feelings for her. At this, Chloe's eyes darkened. She punched Marcus's arm. What are you talking about, Marcus? With that skinny frame of yours, I wouldn't even bother having feelings for you. After saying that, she glanced at my displeased expression and subtly rolled her eyes. Don't worry, Grace. I've known them much longer than you have. If anyone were to be with him, it certainly wouldn't be you. As finished speaking, the private room erupted in laughter. Even looked at me with a hint of mockery. You should be at City General Hospital with your mother, but instead, you come here looking for trouble. His words drilled into my mind. I stared at Marcus in disbelief. I couldn't believe he would say something so malicious. My whole body trembled uncontrollably. Throughout our marriage, my mother had always thought highly of him, treating him even better than she treated me, her own daughter. Yet now, he uttered such words. Marcus, do you have any heart? How has my mother treated you all these years? Do you truly not remember anything? I choked back a sob, but Marcus didn't care in the slightest. Looking at me with disdain. If my family wasn't wealthy, would your mother have been so eager? It all boils down to money. What feelings are you talking about now? What? I stood frozen, biting hard on the inside of my cheek to keep myself from lashing out. Was that truly how he'd always thought of my mother? Exactly. Grace, you're being unreasonable about this. That's your mother, not Marcus's. The money he's given your family over the years is more than enough. Chloe looked at me with a hint of contempt. Grace, I'm not trying to criticize, but women really need their own careers. Constantly asking your husband for money isn't a good solution. My breath caught. When had I ever asked him for money? What money? I've never asked you for money. Marcus flung his phone at me. On the screen was a glaring transfer of $1 million. How can you deny money you just asked for? It must be tough for you and your mother to put on this sob story to trick me. Next time you need money, just say so directly. Don't be around the bush. I picked up the phone, still in disbelief, and double-checked. It was indeed my mother's account, but how could that be? She was in a coma. How could she possibly ask Marcus for money? I quietly returned to City General Hospital, telling no one. To my shock, the person who had been lying unconscious in the hospital bed that afternoon was now chatting animatedly with someone on the phone, not at all like someone in a coma. I clamped my hand over my mouth, preventing any sound from escaping. My heart felt as if it had a hole in it, and a cold wind was whistling through. After all these years, she was still the same, completely unchanged. Early the next morning, I returned home, utterly distraught. I switched on the light to find the living room in complete disarray. Marcus was sitting on the sofa, pressing his forehead, clearly suffering from another headache. Go make me some hangover cure. Seeing me stand motionless, Marcus frowned impatiently, his voice hoarse. Does $1 million not move you? How much more do you want? Just name a price. I silently went to the kitchen and brought him the hangover cure that had been kept warm. Ever since I learned he had nightly work dinners, preparing hangover cure every morning had become my routine. Watching him drink it all in one gulp, I seized the moment to speak. Marcus, let's get a divorce. His hand, holding the bowl, paused. He looked up at me. You just got the money and now you want to leave? Do you take me for a sucker? I suppressed the bitterness in my heart, looking at the man I had loved for so many years. I'll find a way to get you the money. Regardless, I have never coveted your wealth. He grabbed my hand, yanked hard, and pulled me down beneath him. You don't get to decide, after all. Your mother just asked me for another $5 million. My heart jolted. I tried to push him away, but he held me captive in his embrace. He rested his head on my shoulder, his breath warm on my neck. Just be good, and I'll give your mother as much money as she wants. I stopped struggling, letting him lean against me. Marcus, you and Chloe stopped having a normal relationship a long time ago. I looked at the piece of underwear scattered among the mess and gave a sarcastic laugh. Marcus followed my gaze. When he saw it, his expression visibly stiffened. She's upstairs right now, wearing my pajamas, sleeping in our marital bed, isn't she? Marcus said nothing. And I knew I was right. Eleanor was still at work, and she knew I had a phobia of dirt, so she wouldn't let the house get this messy. The only possible explanation for this scene was that Marcus didn't want me to stay home tonight. The love I once held for him had vanished from my eyes. If you truly like her, then divorce me. I won't stop you from marrying her. He, however, erupted in a rage, as if I had hit a nerve. Grace, I've told you, Chloe and I are just friends. I have no romantic feelings for her. I won't get a divorce. If that's how you insist on seeing our relationship, there's nothing I can do. I looked at him and laughed, but tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. Marcus, is it really that you can't, or that you just don't want to? Do normal friends kiss through underwear? Do they bring a close female friend home after drinking? Do they tear off her stockings? In all these instances, which one have I wrongly accused you of? Marcus fell silent, getting up and moving to the other side of the sofa. Just then, footsteps sounded from upstairs. Sure enough, as I had said, Chloe came down, wearing my pajamas and revealing her thighs. Oh, Grace, you're back. I was so drunk that I came to Marcus's place to rest. You don't mind that I'm wearing your pajamas, do you? I laughed aloud. So it was true what they said about laughing when you're utterly furious. Not at all. You two have fun. Just remember to use protection. I grabbed my bag and coat, looking at the silent Marcus. I'll mail the divorce papers to Sterling. With that, I walked straight out the door. It wasn't until I reached the downtown streets that I realized I had nowhere to go. For years, I had revolved around Marcus, completely losing my social circle. In this vast city, I didn't even have a single friend. No wonder he no longer liked me. I looked exactly like a resentful woman. Returning to the estate, I looked at the birthday decorations I had arranged for him half a month in advance, and a pang of sadness hit me. This year marked our 5th wedding anniversary and his 30th birthday. I had started preparing more than half a year ago, but now, he probably wouldn't need it anymore. I stayed at the estate for some time, having no further contact with them, though I saw them together daily on social media now. It all seemed to matter little to me. I just found it absurd. On's birthday, I was weeding in the small garden when his call surprised me. The ballroom at Sterling, get over here. Now, brushing the soil from my hands, I replied, no. He choked for a moment, then spoke through gritted teeth. If you want me to sign, then get your ass over here immediately. The divorce papers I had sent him these past few days had met with silence. Not a single reply. Now he was using it to threaten me. It was too much. I changed my clothes and took a taxi directly to Sterling. This was definitely not going to be a pleasant encounter. Chloe must have riled him up to call me. I had to steel myself and go. When I arrived, Marcus immediately led me onto the stage. He looked at my attire and said with a low, disdainful voice, "What are you wearing?" Anyone who didn't know would think my family was going bankrupt. I ignored his sarcasm, puzzled. Why did you call me here? Though a part of me was happy that he had invited me to his birthday party and even took me onto the stage, there was a subtle uneasiness, as if something irreversible was about to happen. You're my wife. What kind of birthday party would it be if you weren't here? I curved my lips into a slight smile. Just as I was about to pick up the cake knife to slice the cake, Chloe suddenly rushed onto the stage from below. Grace, I've never cut such a big cake before. Can I try? She said, batting her eyelashes at Marcus, clearly not intending to ask for my permission. My hand, holding the knife, hung awkwardly in mid-air. The small flicker of hope I had just felt was instantly doused with cold water. I looked at Marcus, only to see an indulgent expression on his face. With no intention of stopping her, Chloe snatched the cake knife from my hand and smiled sweetly at me. Don't worry, Grace, Marcus won't mind. I lowered my hand, suppressing the bitterness in my throat, and walked straight out of the banquet hall. I walked quickly, not wanting anyone to see my distress. So this was their plan. Everyone knew that the first slice of the cake was reserved for the closest person to the birthday celebrant, and no one else was allowed to touch it. But not only tacitly allowed it but publicly sided with her. How did that leave me, his legitimate wife? Marcus chased after me, and Chloe followed. He grabbed my hand, confused, and asked, "Didn't I just have you speak on stage? What are you making a fuss about now?" The light overhead was a bit hazy, but I looked at him intently. "What exactly do you think is the reason I want to divorce you? Isn't it because I haven't given you a sense of security?" After saying that, he looked at Chloe with some confusion, as if asking her what to do next. Watching their interaction, I took a step back. Even this whole scene is just a tactic to placate me. Honestly, ask yourself, do you still have any love for me? Marcus, you've changed. I can no longer feel your love for me before. Even a simple bunch of wildflowers by the roadside or a trip to a noodle shop would make me feel far more loved than I do now. But ever since Chloe arrived, I haven't felt that love at all. For years, I've been sustained by those faint initial sparks of affection. But now, I don't want to live this way anymore. Sitting in a convenience store by the roadside, with glass after glass of alcohol, my head felt increasingly heavy. Yet, there was a rare moment of peace in my heart. Just as I was about to reach for another bottle, a glass of warm water was offered to me. I looked at the refreshing Leo in front of me and curiously beckoned him. "Why do you think people are so fickle?" He visibly flinched when I grabbed his hand gently. He pulled my hand away and placed the glass of water into mine. "Why bother being sad over someone who isn't worth it, sis?" I smiled at him and said nothing. He was right. Why be sad over someone who wasn't worth it? "Thank you." I found a motel and checked in. For now, I had nowhere else to go. As for the $6 million Marcus gave my mother, I could only sell the estate my father left me. That way, I wouldn't owe him anything. I drifted into a groggy sleep, but then my phone suddenly rang. I groggily answered the phone. I didn't have many friends. Who would be calling me? "Ms. Grace, your mother is in critical condition. Please come to City General Hospital as soon as possible." What? I sprang up from the bed, but my legs buckled beneath me, and I nearly fell. Thankfully, Leo caught me. "I'll take you." In this situation, I didn't have time to dwell on why I was with him. I nodded at him gratefully. "Thank you." Along the way, I considered countless possibilities. Although I knew this might be another one of my mother's tricks, she was my only remaining relative, and I couldn't just stand by. If this was yet another deception, then our mother-daughter bond would be completely severed. By the time I rushed to the hospital room, I was breathless and disheveled. She was indeed lying in bed with a ventilator, looking utterly haggard. Marcus was also by her side, unshaven, clearly having stayed up all night. When he saw me, his face was filled with anger. "Where have you been? I called you all night, and you didn't answer." But then he froze for a moment when his eyes landed on the person behind me. "Who is he? Were you out messing around with him?" I ignored his shouting, limping over to the bedside, looking at the person in bed, whose face was flushed and eyelashes fluttered. I found it utterly absurd. Marcus, however, completely lost his composure after seeing my stance. "Your mother is critically ill, and you have the nerve to be out messing around with some random guy." I frowned at him. "He's just a friend. Not everyone lacks boundaries with their friends like you do you." Marcus was so infuriated he couldn't speak. I told Leo to leave first. After all, I didn't want an innocent person dragged into my petty matters. I took the divorce papers I had printed yesterday from my bag and handed them to Marcus. "Since you're here, I don't have to send them to Sterling. Just sign them now, okay?" He took them, tore them to shreds, and threw them to the floor. "Don't even think about it. I'm not divorcing you." I pulled another copy from my bag. "Tear them all you want. I have more." At that moment, the person in bed could no longer endure it. She sat up abruptly and ripped off the ventilator. "Grace, who gave you permission to divorce him? You should be grateful to have found such a good husband in Marcus. You are not to divorce him." Seeing her so lively and energetic, I gave a mocking laugh. "Can't keep up the act anymore? I thought you were more resilient than that. Do you find it amusing to conspire and deceive me? Marcus, when did you become so shameless?" Both of them froze, realizing their deception was exposed. Marcus's face instantly flushed red. He snatched the divorce papers from my hand, signed them, and then flung them at me. "Fine, if you're so determined to divorce, then don't you dare regret it." I picked up the divorce papers from the floor and turned to leave. "Marcus, I won't regret it." He watched my retreating back with a hint of panic, instinctively turning to my mother for help. My mother, lying in bed, nonchalantly reassured him, "Don't worry, she's tough on the outside, soft on the inside, she loves you so much. How could she possibly truly divorce you?" "That's right, Marcus, don't you know Grace by now?" Just then, Chloe, who had been hiding in the bathroom, emerged and cozied up beside my mother. Marcus gently tapped her forehead. Disrespectful, call me brother. Although he said that, a flicker of unease persisted in his heart this time. Grace seemed different. He exchanged a few words with my mother before saying goodbye. As soon as he stepped out of City General Hospital, he instructed his assistant to look into a few things. He was also angry about my decision to divorce, vowing not to easily placate me. The car, which had initially been headed straight for the estate, changed direction, driving towards his usual hangout spot. After leaving City General Hospital, I deleted everyone's contact information and went to the estate alone. I wanted to take one last look at the place that had been witness to my growth. After my parents' divorce when I was a child, I lived with my father at the estate. It wasn't until his passing, and after I met Marcus, that I gradually reduced my visits here. But now, I had to sell it. To say I didn't feel reluctant would be a lie. Still, there was nothing else I could do. I packed a few simple items, then gazed at the locked gate of the courtyard, feeling a wave of melancholy. "Sis?" While I was feeling melancholic, a familiar voice came from next door. It was Leo, the young man I had met at the convenience store that day, dressed in loungewear, exuding an incredibly warm aura. Looking at him, I felt a little embarrassed because I couldn't quite remember why we had ended up staying together that night. "Hi Leo, thanks for yesterday." Seeing my awkwardness, he lowered his head and smiled. "You really don't remember me, sis?" At his words, I looked up at him. His face was indeed handsome, but I didn't recognize him. I shook my head honestly, though I still felt some confusion. The previous neighbors were an old grandmother and her grandson. Then it dawned on me, "You're Leo?" Leo bent slightly, smiling like a playful cat. "It's me, Grace." My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly took a step back. It wasn't until I was drinking the tea brewed that I realized I had somehow entered his home. For a moment, holding the tea, I felt uneasy, primarily unsure if anything had happened that night. The thought made me inwardly despise myself. How could I lose control like that? And with someone younger than me at that? "Did you divorce that man, sis?" I froze. "How did he find out?" Leo sat beside me, turning his head slightly to look at me. "I accidentally saw it in your bag just now, sis. You won't blame me, will you?" After a long moment, I shook my head. "Yes, I'm divorced." He clinked his glass with mine, his eyes full of me. "Then let's celebrate your escape from misery." His demeanor made me laugh, and the suppressed emotions of the day finally began to ease. We talked about many things that day, from our childhoods to our futures. I suddenly realized that my world wasn't just about Marcus anymore, at least at this moment. I had someone to talk to, and divorce no longer felt like an unforgettable tragedy. "So sis, what do you want to do next?" I don't remember what my answer was that night, but it doesn't matter. From now on, I only want to live for myself. After selling the estate and deducting the $6 million for Marcus, I still had over $3 million left, enough for me to take a break for a while. Marcus, once again completely drunk, returned home, only to find the usually warm house feeling desolate. He uncomfortably loosened his tie, looked at the faint yellow light in the kitchen, and subconsciously called my name. "Grace, bring me the hangover cure." There was no reply for a long time. Just as he was getting impatient and about to lose his temper, Maria came out of the kitchen. "Sir, Madam hasn't been back for a few days. This is the hangover cure I just prepared." Marcus felt a surge of irritation but ultimately said nothing. However, after taking one sip of the hangover cure, he couldn't drink anymore. It wasn't the taste he was used to. "Don't make it anymore. The taste isn't right." With that, he went straight upstairs. If I had been there, I would have only found it amusing. Because of his single complaint about the hangover cure's taste, I had searched for every recipe on the market. He still wasn't satisfied, so I had to mix and match ingredients again and again. Yet, the hangover cure that I had kept warm on the stove day after day. He drank less and less often. Now that I no longer made it for him, he suddenly complained that the taste was different. Lying in bed, Marcus waited a long time for me to undress him and tidy up. "Grace, where have you been? It takes you this long just to help me take off my clothes?" After speaking, he himself was momentarily dazed, leaning against the bedside, supporting his forehead. His eyes stared blankly at the spot where their marriage certificate used to hang. He had forgotten again. Grace had already divorced him. He had thought Grace was just throwing another tantrum as usual. But since their last encounter at City General Hospital, he hadn't seen her for almost half a month. Marcus's heart was in turmoil, but his pride wouldn't allow him to humble himself and seek out Grace. He took out his phone, typed and deleted in the chat box, typed and deleted again. The moment he pressed send, a red exclamation mark delivery failed appeared. Marcus's face instantly stiffened, and fury surged to his head. Grace, you're unbelievable. If you have the guts, then don't ever come back. I had no time to worry about Marcus. Leo and I had just returned after having traveled around a lot. At that moment, I was exhausted and sprawled on the sofa, unwilling to move. Since our last conversation that day, I had become his roommate, living with him. I found him to be an absolute whiz-kid. He could do everything and knew everything. The happy days I spent with him were already more joyful than all my past few years combined. I suddenly became very interested in this kid who used to trail behind me when he was little. It felt like spending time with someone younger also made me feel younger. Sis, why don't you go wash up first? I'll make us a late-night snack. Thinking of his cooking skills, I instinctively swallowed, looking at him a little sheepishly. It's so late. Why don't we just order takeout? Cooking yourself is too tiring. He smiled and gently pushed me towards the bathroom. It's fine, sis. I need to eat too. And I'm not tired at all right now. Hearing him say that, I had no choice but to concede. I took a refreshing shower, and smelling the aromas from outside, I felt a surge of impatience. I walked out of the bathroom without even drying my hair. When I got to the kitchen, I found no one there. I tried calling him but realized his phone was in the living room. Just as I was wondering where he could have gone so late at night, I heard arguing from outside the door. The familiar voices made my breath catch. Why was Marcus here? I pushed open the door and found them nearly coming to blows. A cold sweat broke out on me. Even before we were married, Marcus was a complete brute. He had injured countless people. And with Leo's innocent demeanor, I worried he'd be at a severe disadvantage in a fight. Seeing a fist about to land on Leo's face, I rushed forward to block them. Stop. Marcus's swinging fist narrowly missed Leo, and instead, Marcus took a punch from Leo. He clutched his bleeding lip, roaring at me. Grace, are you crazy? You rushed in to block my punch for this man? If I hadn't pulled back so quickly, you'd be in City General Hospital right now. Leo took a step back. I instinctively grabbed him, relieved to find he wasn't hurt. Marcus looked at my actions in disbelief, his voice frigid. Grace, do you act as if I don't exist? I am your husband. I shielded Leo behind me, glaring at Marcus with a hostile expression. What's wrong with you? We're already divorced. You and I have nothing to do with each other anymore. Don't come here again. Marcus's gaze turned sinister, and the aura around him instantly darkened. You don't come home late at night. You're staying at this man's house, and then you tell me not to come over? Bravo. It was then that I realized he must have gone to the estate looking for me but didn't find me. But how did Marcus and Leo meet? I eyed Leo suspiciously from behind me, seeing only an innocent demeanor on his face. Never mind, given his innocent demeanor, he probably couldn't have orchestrated this. Where I sleep now is none of your business. And why are you looking for me in the middle of the night anyway? His aura tightened, and he hesitated. I came to take you home. His words sounded like a cruel joke to me. I don't have time for your games. If there's nothing else, just leave. With that, I prepared to pull Leo inside, but Marcus grabbed my other wrist. I'm serious. Can I talk to you alone? I shook off his grip, turning back to him with a displeased expression. There's nothing to talk about with you. Even if it's about your father, you don't want to know? My steps faltered just as I was about to enter the door. If you have something to say it quickly. Marcus's eyes darkened for a moment as he looked at me. Regarding what happened with your father back then, I've uncovered a bit of the truth. It just depends on whether you want to know it. I stared at him wordlessly. If I didn't want to know, would I even be talking to you alone? What's the condition? He ignored the wordless irritation in my eyes, still gazing at me with a profound look. As long as you move back in, I'll tell you everything. At this, I finally understood his true intentions. He missed his free housekeeper, and now that he wasn't used to my absence, he came looking for me. No, I'm never coming back. With that, I turned to leave, but Marcus hardly spoke from behind me. Even about your father's matter, you don't care anymore? You don't want to know the truth? I paused, but still didn't turn around. I'll investigate my father's affairs myself. I don't need your concern. Marcus stood in the alleyway for most of the night. He couldn't understand why, even after he had humbly begged her to return, she still refused to come back with him. Looking at the lights in the courtyard, he felt a haze of confusion, and an uncontrollable bitterness swelled in his heart. He couldn't help but wonder what Grace and Leo were doing now, if they were living like he and Grace once did. Just thinking about it made him feel his sanity completely eroded. But he had no reason to storm in again. If he lost his temper one more time, Grace, given her personality, would truly abandon him. Back in the living room, seeing the seafood congee on the dining table, my heart warmed. Even the frustrated mood from the earlier confrontation transformed into a sense of warmth. Leo emerged from the bathroom, toweling his hair. Water droplets clung to his white t-shirt, making his abs subtly visible, and I felt a little embarrassed. Averting my gaze, he leaned closer to me, a sly smile on his face. Are all your matters taken care of, sis? I thought you'd forget about me once you got rid of your ex. My heart skipped a beat. Looking at the tall man in front of me, I felt a slight shortness of breath and gently tapped him on the head. What are you saying? You'll always be my younger brother. And do you really have so little faith in me, sis? Leo's eyes darkened for a moment, and he suppressed the urge to pull me into his arms. Instead, he walked to the dining table to serve me congee, looking at me with an innocent expression. Of course, I trust you, sis. He didn't say it out loud, though I sensed something unusual. But I didn't want to dwell on it. The next day, I had a rare lie-in. My original plan was to investigate the truth behind my father's suicide back then. Right after breakfast, I received a call from an unknown number. I was a bit puzzled but answered it anyway. Grace, come to the bar quickly. Marcus is here, completely drunk, and won't let anyone touch him. Chloe, how did she get my phone number? I've divorced him. Whatever he does is none of my business. I hung up, but a moment later, the phone rang again. What do you want? I already told you. He and I have nothing to do with each other. Grace, it's Eleanor. I paused, then spoke awkwardly. Hello, Eleanor. I know you and Marcus divorced, but please, do me a favor and just bring him home. I was silent for a moment. Okay, in all my years of marriage, Eleanor had been the kindest to me. I couldn't refuse her request. Do you want me to take you, sis? It's fine. I'll go by myself. I'm craving shrimp scampi for lunch, and I should be back in about 2 hours. Okay, I'll wait for you. As soon as I stepped into the bar, I noticed it was unusually quiet compared to other days, and an ominous feeling immediately washed over me. Just as I was about to call Chloe, someone covered my mouth and nose from behind, and I instantly lost consciousness. Is she Vance's daughter? It must be her. No mistake. I woke up in a haze, my head throbbing. I heard a man's voice and a woman's. I didn't recognize the man, but the woman was clearly Chloe. I secretly fretted, surprised that Chloe was bold enough to resort to kidnapping. If you dare to double-cross me, you'll regret it. The voice grew closer, and I instinctively held my breath. Feigning sleep, the sack over my head was removed, and the dazzling sunlight made me wince slightly. A bucket of cold water was splashed over me, making me shiver. I could no longer pretend. I calmly looked at the two people opposite me. Why did you kidnap me? Chloe gave a bright smile, her eyes filled with malice. Why did I kidnap you? Because of you. That bastard Marcus actually drove my family into bankruptcy. A dagger slid back and forth in front of me. Chloe's voice was icy. Tell me, shouldn't I have kidnapped you? I suppressed my fear, trying to calm myself. There's no use in holding me. I've already divorced him. Of course there is. You're worth a lot of money. With that, the sack was placed back over my head, and darkness enveloped me once more. I don't know how much time passed, but then I heard urgent brakes outside, and soon someone rushed in. Chloe, where's my wife? Chloe laughed, a little hysterically. You truly love her, don't you? You actually dared to come alone, risking your own life. She pushed me forward and ripped the sack from my head. Marcus winced at the rough action. What are your conditions for letting her go? Anything within my power, I'll do. Chloe didn't answer. Instead, she tugged my hair, leaned on my shoulder and questioned Marcus. Tell me what makes me so different from her. I've thrown away my dignity, spending every day among men. So why can't you just give me one more glance? Marcus looked at her, utterly shocked and disbelieving. You like me? Aren't we just friends? Chloe laughed at his words, and as she laughed, tears streamed down her face. Friendship? That's hilarious. We've kissed. We've been to bed. And now you're telling me it was all just friendship? Chloe was highly agitated, and the dagger edged closer to me, making Marcus's legs go weak. He almost collapsed to his knees. It took a long while for Chloe to calm down, her eyes filled with hatred as she looked at Marcus. 50 million for her life. Deal. Marcus agreed without a moment's hesitation. Now it was my turn to be shocked. I couldn't believe he was idiotic enough to come here alone, and to try to buy me back with money. Didn't he see the man in black standing nearby, clearly not here for cash? I kept trying to signal Marcus with my eyes, but he didn't understand what I meant, only reassuring me repeatedly not to be scared. I closed my eyes, exasperated. Was I really going to die here today? Let go, and I'll have someone transfer the money to you right now. Chloe yanked me up from the ground and pushed me toward Marcus. I walked cautiously, fearing the man behind me would suddenly attack, but nothing happened. However, just as I was halfway to Marcus, the sound of a round being chambered echoed from behind me. Don't move. My steps halted. A cold sweat broke out on my back, and my entire body froze in place. Chloe looked at the gun the man beside her pulled out, her expression somewhat shocked. Didn't you just want money? You promised not to harm them. The man glanced at her dismissively. Idiot, if you take this money, do you think you'll live to spend it after they're gone? Marcus quickly swore, just let us go, and I swear I won't pursue this once we're out. I can even help you leave the country. The man lowered his head in thought, seemingly considering. That's certainly a good option, but what I originally wanted was her life. At his words, the room fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. No one dared make another sound, fearing they might provoke the man. I suppressed my fear, fighting back the urge to vomit. Who are you? Why do you want to kill me? I don't think we know each other. I genuinely couldn't recall ever meeting this man, and I hadn't done anything to offend anyone recently, so I truly wasn't sure where this grudge came from. It seems you've forgotten me, but I haven't forgotten the harm your father inflicted on me. I froze and turned my head. The man took off the hat and mask he'd been wearing, revealing a face disfigured by burns in front of everyone. I gasped, covering my mouth. Uncle? The man grinned, a terrifying smile spreading across his face. You remember me then? Your father committed suicide to avoid prosecution, and it caused me to spend so many years in prison. He's gone, so only you can atone for it now. The gun was raised and pointed at my head. For a moment, I was so tense I forgot to breathe. A gunshot echoed, and I squeezed my eyes shut, but the anticipated pain never came. Just as I was about to open my eyes, I was enveloped in a warm embrace. Don't be scared, Grace, I'm here. Hearing that familiar voice, my tense body finally relaxed, and I instantly went limp. Luckily, Leo held me tightly. He picked me up in his arms, and I buried my head in his chest, inhaling his comforting scent as my racing heart slowly calmed. I'm taking you home. I said nothing, just leaned into his chest and nodded. As we passed Marcus, he reached out to block our path. I didn't want to see his repulsive face, so I closed my eyes. Marcus withdrew his hand in defeat, lowering his head, his voice muffled. I'm sorry, I caused you so much pain. I won't bother you again. I'll also transfer 6 million to your account as compensation. I wish you happiness. I patted Leo's chest, urging him to hurry home. I didn't want to stay in this place anymore. Even after we were in the car, I still hadn't let go of his hand. I looked up at him, feeling tears welling up for a moment. Thank you, Leo. He gently held me in his arms. Grace, you never have to thank me. Everything I do for you, I do willingly and contentedly. That's all for today's story. Thank you for listening. This is my channel. The tales I share drawn from life or woven from imagination are meant to offer you connection, reflection, and perhaps solace or newfound strength. If you long to see your own reflection in others' journeys, or seek a glimmer of light within the maze of emotions, subscribe to my channel. Listen with your heart. Explore the stories of life.